folks, welcome to today's vlog. We're not in the bike, we're not on the bike, we're in the car. Today is a complete rest day off the bike, just taking it easy. Exert says that we're tired. We don't feel especially tired, however sometimes fatigue hits you in different ways. So today we're just heading off to the studio. It is the final event within the KISS Super League. Madison Genesis rocking away with the series. So we're heading down to the studio now just to get ready for the broadcast. Gun drops at 7 o'clock. So we've got a couple hours to get all set up. Make sure everything's working the way it was last night for the Ladies League. There was a couple of small technical issues, as there has been on most of the events. However, things have progressed quite well, which is very good. It's really good to see Zwift put in a lot of investment, not just in money terms, but in development. They really are behind esports, and they're going all out to try and make sure that their platform is secure as it can be and robust enough to offer esports up. It's going to be an exciting night. I believe we've got Madison Genesis rocking their bikes in the Zwift HQ, so they're going to be live in the broadcast again. Obviously makes a lot of sense to have them live because they're going to roll away with it. Well, they already have rolled away with the series, so they're going to be crowned the series winners, which is massive kudos to them. Ian Bibby, John Mould, Johnny McAvoy. Who else they got in there? They've got Connor Swift. Yeah. Oh, that's embarrassing. I can't remember the other names. Roger Hammond, their team manager, is going to be super chuffed. And you know what? I've said this on a couple of social media posts over the last couple of weeks. There's still quite a lot of digs going in towards Zwift and esports, and you know, that cyclists, we're a snobby bunch. We really are. We're old school. We don't like, you know, people that don't clip in. We don't like people that sit on an indoor trainer or specifically race on an indoor trainer. So there's lots of comments, but what is really good, what I've really been impressed with, is people like Roger Hammond. He's an old school pro. However, as a team manager, he really is embracing the future. And do you know what? Before you hit me in the comments, when I say future, I don't mean that esports and things like Zwift are going to take over from traditional cycling. It never will. In fact, I think, who was it? Alex Dowsett said something very similar. It isn't, you know, nobody's trying to take anything away from cycling. Cycling will never be replaced in its current form. It's been like that for centuries, and it's going to remain like that. But what esports does is it adds another dimension to cycling. You've got track, you've got the road, you've got off-road, you know, you've got mountain biking, you've got all sorts of different disciplines. Now you've got esports. And, you know, if you've not watched any of the KISS Super League so far, where have you been? Link down below to some of the events. I mean, these pros, they are putting out serious efforts. Cam Jeffers himself, very popular YouTuber, elite racer within the UK scene, he said himself in a recent video that, you know, it's the efforts that are put in on Zwift, or the stresses it puts on the body, they don't show up traditionally as stresses within his training programs. So, you know, for him and his coach, it's difficult to ascertain where he is, because they're much shorter efforts, they're harder efforts, and they don't show up as much excess training stress score, TSS. It doesn't show up as heavy as it would for, say, like a 3-hour ride. But you know what's really good is to see these old pros who are now team managers, and then teams within the UK, such as Ribble, really supporting the KISS Super League, and their riders are really getting behind it. And it's really good to see that they're embracing the future. And again, as I said, the future, it's not something that's taking over, it's just it's a new element, it's a new string to the bow if you're a professional cyclist. It's really good to see these guys doing it. It is today 31 days until Mallorca 312. That's right, 31 days. I thought whilst I was driving down to the studio today, obviously talking about the KSL, I'd talk about Mallorca. We've not really mentioned it much in the blog. We've been using the hashtag Mallorca 312 in our social media posts and what have you. We've not really talked about Mallorca 312. Last year I was out in Mallorca with a couple of my teammates from the KISS racing team, and as we were climbing, let me think, what was it called? Faminia? Category 2 climb that you need to go up if you want to get towards Sacalabra. As we were climbing there, one of the guys turned to me and said, you ever thought about the 312? And my answer was, yeah, I have thought about it, and I've thought about it quite often. But every time or every year it comes round to say, right, do you want to enter? I've gone, no chance. Why on earth would I want to spend 312 kilometres on my bike? And that's exactly the answer that I gave this time last year when we were in Mallorca. And we talked about it, and it was like, oh, it's the 10th year anniversary, because when I got back from Mallorca, the email dropped to advertise that it's the 10th year anniversary. And then the brain starts ticking. I start thinking, yeah, maybe I do want to do it. And before you know it, you're caught up in the hype of the fact that, when that email drops to say that sign up is now open, fine well, although you're looking at, is it 8,000? I think it's 8,000 riders. Fine well that those places are going to sell out super, super fast. And I can't remember now, it is on my social media, but it went like that, so fast. And yeah, you get caught up in it, you sign up for the 312, you sign up for the full kit, and yeah, 31 days. 31 days. So yeah, training's not gone as well as it should do. Let's be honest, we've done a couple of different things. So 2 years ago we did the UCI Grand Fondo World Series in France, in Albi. Fantastic event. Loved it. Well, love hate. It was ridiculously hot, massive heat wave at the time, ran out of water, all that stuff. There's a link here somewhere to that race vlog, and yeah, that was a war of attrition that day. But loved the experience. Always said it was a one-off. Didn't want to do it again. Lost a lot of weight. Massive drop in my race weight, which was great, and I'd love to get back to that. This year, or 2 years later, I'm struggling to get rid of the weight. The race season has just started. However, I'm still nowhere near. I'm not even close. I'm currently about 9 kilos heavier than what I want to be, which is not good. And especially if you're considering the 312 with its 5,000 odd meters of climbing. Yeah, it's not great being that far not overweight, but far heavier than what I want to be. So anyway, we've been using Training Peaks for a while, and we planned our annualised training plan, our ATP, and put in the events that we're going to be doing, and you mark them, either A, B or C. There has only really been one A event this year, and that's the Mallorca 312, so everything was building towards that. And when you set up your training plan, you tell it where you currently are in terms of your stress scores and your fatigue, and then it plans out what you want to do, how many hours a week do you want to spend, or what's your average TSS for the week. And we plugged it in, and then what you do when you go to the dashboard, you get a projection of where you should be or could be if you do the training. But then as the weeks go on, you also get a defined line, which is where you are. And all this year, where I am compared to where I could have been or should have been, had I followed the plan religiously, has been so far apart. We nearly got it back on track about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then it all went to pot again. And it's just things like, not missing training days because you've been sick, or you've obviously got a full-time job, you've got children to look after, or you plan a weekend away and you can't do the training that you're doing. So yeah, it becomes difficult. We then started using Exert, and the KISS racing team have picked up Exert as a, would you call them a sponsor or a partner? I'm not sure, maybe a partner rather than a sponsor. And so we're using Exert now within the team. And yeah, so that follows a completely different schedule. You can plan ahead in a calendar, however you're not meant to, and you don't need to, because everything is worked out on the fly. And you have a good couple of days, then your threshold power goes up. You have a couple of crappy days and your threshold power comes down, and vice versa. You know, if you're working on threshold power but not working on maximal power, then of course your peak power comes down because you're not doing any sprints. I did a crit obviously at the weekend there, and my peak power rocketed because I was working on sprinting out of corners because it was a crit, as opposed to the majority of my rides, which are long sustained efforts. So the peak power comes down but the threshold goes up. So yeah, do you know, chopping and changing between the two programs probably hasn't helped, but yeah, it is what it is. 31 days, it's going to be interesting, it really is. Yeah, any of the viewers, have you done it before? Going out there this year, there's going to be 3 other that I know of. I don't know if anyone else is doing it on the fly. There's 3 other KISS team members, 4 if you include the girlfriend, doing the short event. So there's 3 other guys doing the long event with me. They're all far stronger riders. One of them is a Cat 3. One of them doesn't race, I don't think, but I know fine well that he's far stronger, much lighter, much better at climbing. We were out in Mallorca last year together. And then there's another guy who has started racing. I believe he's still a Cat 4. I could be wrong, but certainly he came very close to winning some races last year. So if he carries on that form on the road, it won't be long before he gets booted up into Cat 3. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Not much more to say other than when the numbers aren't going so good, don't get too hung up on them. I try not to do so. It's very difficult. I mean, everything is screaming at you. You've got friends reminding you that you've got, you know, 4 weeks to go. You've got your training plans reminding you that you've got 4 weeks to go. You've got everything telling you that your numbers are going down as opposed to up. Yeah, it's hard to ignore the numbers. But at the end of the day, you know, the more you get caught up in them, the less you're going to enjoy time on the bike. And at the end of the day, for me, that's what it's all about. Yes, there is that type 2 fun where you're going out and you're beasting yourself because you know it's going to get you fitter or get you faster or get you stronger or whatever. But that still gives you enjoyment because the benefits of being able to go faster, further, longer, you know, there is enjoyment out of that. So so yeah, don't get too caught up in the numbers, or try not to be. And yeah, so anyway, that's going to be it. We are almost down at the studio now, and yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you've enjoyed a little bit of my my meanderings and my chin wags. If you have, hit that like button, tickle it, smash it. You know the drill. Just use it. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already do so, and make sure you're using the little notification bell. Spread the video, share the love, and as ever, I'll see you again soon for some new videos. Ride on.